defining my own masculinity or what it means to me is, I'm still learning, I'm still evolving, I'm still trying to figure out in real time what that means. My name is Nikolai Talamahina. I am of Niuean and Samoan descent. I am 25 years old, I think. I am a huge, big energy Aries. I'm also an event facilitator. I run a few spaces around Tamaki. I curate and cultural advise East Street Hall, which is a new multimedia kind of space. So it's a bar, a restaurant, and it's a nightclub. I'm a musician. I go under the pseudonym of Brown Boy Magik. I make a lot of genre-bending music. It's not really refined to a genre of specific stuff. I think for me, the industry, about like probably 10 or 5 years ago, it wasn't cool to be queer or trans. It wasn't like, now it is. It's cool to be those now. But my personal experience with the music industry has been really jarring. I've been ripped off. I've been not invited to places because I was trans. I've had, definitely groups of men who were quite definitely like boys club vibe. I wasn't allowed to be in those spaces until I was, they're like, oh, you're a bro now, so you can come and join us, which is really, it's quite rude if you think about it. Anyone would find that rude. I think as a trans person, within the Pacifica community being masculine, you're expected of so many things. Things that obviously like other biomen that are expected of not crying and not doing things like that, or being too feminine, or just things that you have to be one thing. Just the energy that I feel from a lot of biomen in the Pacifica community is really alienating, very othered, just very unsafe. I'm really thankful my grandpa was around. My grandpa was definitely, he had traits of masculinity and femininity. Without him knowing that, he was quite soft, and he was very kind. I grew up with my grandparents and my mum. There's not a lot of us who transition from women to men, to FTM. So there's not a lot of us. So what that means for us is that we're going to get a lot of people in our family obviously blaming us, blaming themselves, thinking that they did things that were wrong, or we turned out a certain way because of them. I think in a Pacifica context, there's a lot of shame. There's definitely a lot of shame around being trans masculine. There's a lot of shame around that. You have to, in real time, figure out who you're supposed to be socially for everyone. Who are you? What energy am I supposed to give to this person? Who am I supposed to be for them today? And it's just so exhausting. It's actually so exhausting to the point that you don't know who you are, So that's really bleak, but it's the truth. I wish there was someone like me maybe years ago that was like, don't stress out too much about that, I think I know for me personally, in earlier days of transitioning, I felt that I had to be an asshole to give off the energy of being masculine and being passing and things like that. So I would really be an asshole and be really rude, because this is me trying to copy what that means and what that means for me to be safe. But now I'm past that point and I'm like, that's very unsafe. That's not a cool thing to do, and treat people like that as well. We are always trying to live in the future. For me personally, I'm always trying to stop someone from misgendering me, stop someone from, saying something that I don't like. So I'm gonna give off this huge vibe to you that knows that you're not gonna fuck with me like that, and I'm very guarded in who I am. And that's, for me, that's what I'm role-playing. I'm role-playing something so that I feel like I'm not gonna get clocked. I still have really iffy things about masculinity for myself because I look super masculine, but I feel like if we're gonna put it into a box, I feel like I'm still operating on femininity times. I'm still operating on that. I hope I am, and I hope that's what people are receiving too. I was was around a group of guys who I didn't know. It was where I was working a year ago, and he said some really like just off stuff about, you know, just women in general. And then I said, like, I don't think that's really appropriate that you're saying that. And they turn around and they say, are you gay? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, that kind of stuff is just really, really, really pisses me off. And I'm not your fucking bro. I'm not your chief. I'm not your oos. I'm not any of those. Do you know what I mean? I'm more passing now. So there are things that I have access to now that I didn't have access to before. You know, just small stuff that are like, I'm going into an Uber and they're like, hey chief. And I'm like, looking around the Uber like, who's the chief? You know, and that's something that I'm like, that's so strange, you know? And I'm like, am I giving off chief vibes? Am I giving off a bro vibe? You know, at the start of my transition, you know, starting to get facial hair, I was actually really stoked. I was like, yeah, this is sick. Like, he called me bro and he called me, you know, these things that really kind of affirm who you are. But I feel like there's a flip side of that can be quite dark as well. You know, obviously men feel more comfortable around you, and obviously because they might not know who you are. And they'll just say some foul shit, man. Also, if I could take one thing back, the men's toilets are just disgusting. Like, let me just put that panui out there. They're just gross. They're gross, disgusting. Don't pee on the floor and wipe it up. Oh my gosh, if I could take anything back, this is a sidetrack, but like, that is so disgusting. And they don't wash their hands. Please wash your hands.